In this lesson, what I'm going to be doing is covering the Wing Chun dummy. It's called the Muk Jong. Traditionally, a Muk Jong is the last thing that a Wing Chun instructor teaches his students. But I'm not going to be giving you traditional Wing Chun. I'm going to be teaching you what was taught to me. It's Chun Fan, which is a modified version of Wing Chun. It was taught from Bruce Lee to Dan Inosanto, from Dan to myself. So a lot of the things have changed. It's a bit more aggressive. It's a little bit more diversified in the approach. We don't particularly have stances. We don't have an emphasis on where the hands are. It's a little bit more of a free art. I'm going to be showing you what I mean. Teaches you coordination, it conditions your forearms, gives you the basic skill movements. You can work your speed, you can work your repetition, you can work your line familiarization with the dummy. The dummy is in a fixed position. That fixed position is to represent trapping range. This is why the arms of the dummy are not as long as a human's arms, because this would be boxing range. We want to get into trapping range. This is where you would be in trapping. So the dummy is to represent where you would be in trapping. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the very beginning, and I'm going to take one trap and we're going to build from there. And I want to show you the relationship on a person to the dummy. Traditionally, the Wing Chun dummy was taught in 108 movements. Some say 116 movements. We're not going to teach it this way. I'm going to give a direct relationship. This way, if you know a technique, you can do it on the dummy now. It doesn't take 4 years to work it. Okay, Mark, let's come on out. We're going to start off with a Pak Sao. It's one of the very first and basic moves you learn in Wing Chun. Pak Sao means slapping hand. Okay, we're going to take it from a reference point. Now, once again, I have to bring up the point that traditionally, Wing Chun people work the form, and their movements are predicated on this form, and they have to maintain this form. Whereas Bruce was not quite a stickler on that type of form. I want to show you what I'm talking about. If he Mark jabs, this is the form, I just happen to be here. If he does the same move again, now I happen to be here. I don't really ever know where I'm going to be. So therefore, we don't always start from the same position. And that same methodology or training method holds over to the dummy. When you get to the dummy, if you do a move here, this foot happened to be back. But if I do the same move again, now I happen to step in. So I'm not going to start off the dummy 45 minutes teaching you where your big toe should be planted. We're just going to get on the platform and move to what's comfortable for you. So let's take the Pak Sao one more time, and this will be our first technique. We start from a high reference point. We slap the trapping hand, and we come in with the punching hand. Once again, we slap with our trapping hand, and we come in with our punching hand. Notice I'm shuffling. Now the same technique can be applied to the dummy. I start here, I slap with my trapping hand, and I shuffle in. Feels a lot different on the dummy. The dummy feels more solid, more powerful. When you get to a person, he feels like butter. Feels like you can go through a person just like butter. Okay, follow with me on the Pak Sao. We're going to start here. You trap and you come in. Very important that the punching hand retracts and the trapping hand holds. You just shuffle in, whatever feels natural. Watch my footwork this time. Notice I stepped with the rear leg. Now I'm going to step with the front leg. Now I'm going to angle with both. Whatever feels comfortable. Look at it again. We're going to do the same technique on the left. You always work your right and your left. Start with the reference point and just come right in. Start with your attachment and shuffle in. Okay, one more time with me. Pak Sao. Now what we're going to cover is a Lap Sao. A Lap Sao and a Pak Sao are sort of brother and sister techniques. One is a push, one is a pull, or one is a slap and one is a pull. You have to feel the opponent's energy to know when to do which. You won't get sensitivity from the Wing Chun dummy, but you will get power, you will get the strength, you will get the conditioning. All right, let's work the Lap Sao. We're going to start from a high reference point again. This is sort of going to be a common denominator throughout the tape. From this position, if I feel his energy pushing a little bit, I'm going to pull. This is a lop sao. As you pull with this hand, you're twisting the trunk. As the trunk twists, you punch with the rear hand. We're going to go through it very slow. I'm turning, I'm pulling, and I'm punching. You don't want the thumb to be totally wrapped around. You just want to grasp it about like this. You don't want to be here because it's too easy to slip, and you don't want it all the way around. The first finger that makes contact is your small finger. Your pinky is the first finger to make contact. So if you notice here, that's the first thing that touches. You don't want to have to go all the way around, squeeze, and then pull him. You're going to lose the economy of motion. So from this position, just pull and punch with this hand. Opposite of a pak sao, which is a push with his hand. Now let's look at it on the dummy. We get up in the same high reference point. All I'm doing is I'm pulling and I'm punching. Once again, the turning of the body is very important. When you can move the dummy, you can send a person flying. This is one of the nice things about the dummy. Okay, let's look at it again. Turn the body, pull, and punch. Once again, turn, pull, and punch. Let's look at it on the left. You have a high reference point, you turn, and you punch. Watch the twisting of my body. You want your punch to come as straight as possible down the center line. You don't want to hook with it because this is leaving your center line open. Look at it again. Now, if you take these two techniques and blend them, what you have is you have 1-2. You have a pak and a lop. Once again, 1-2. If we did that on Mark again, from this position, 1-2. Why would I do that? Is he feels the energy of my pak and he's pushing back here. Now rather than me fighting him, I just pull and I change the energy going the other way. You can reverse it. You can start with a pull and then a punch. If I start with a pull, he might fight me on the pull. Now I come back with a pak again. So you have the brother and sister technique, pak lop and lop pak. Now we're going to cover a jiao sao from the same reference point. Now, when I say reference point, what I'm meaning is that we're both touching. There's a cohesion here. This is a reference point. So in a fight, if Mark were to jab, if I get this, this is a reference point. This happened to be a reference. This happens to be a reference. What I'm going to use for sake of simplicity when I'm teaching everything is I'm going to use the same reference point throughout the entire videotape. And that is right here. This is a very common reference point you're going to get into. So the jiao sao is a running hand. The hand is circling from here, high or low. What I'm going to aim for, the main targets would be the ear or would be the groin. For training, we're going to hit on the shoulder or we're going to hit on the thigh. So if you from right to here, the position is that the hand circles. Watch again. My wrist is circling around. Now the minute I circle, he's going to go straight with that punch here. So what I have to have is this hand up checking. So from this position, I jowl, but this hand still traps. So a pak was going straight. Now the same hand is just going to circle to hit that ear. If you notice, when I'm circling, I'm keeping as tight as I can until I get to this point. We use the shoulder to train on. So this is where I hit on the shoulder or on the thigh. Now let's look at that on the dummy. I'm going to get on the high reference point here. I circle and I hit. The jiao sao on the dummy, you can slap the dummy or you can jiao and hook. Watch my hook slow. Jiao comes around and hits, as opposed to slapping and coming straight. Same thing on the left. I tap and I come around with the left. If we go low with it, I just drop it low. High to low, you can come back up again. It's all predicated off of the trap. This is what the dummy is for, is to teach you how to trap. All right, let's review what we have so far. We've got a pak sao. We have a lap sao. We have a jiao sao. Now what we're going to have is a jet sao, which is a jerking hand. You want your fingertips to twist down. You don't want to get on the arm and yank on it. As you're yanking, that opens up the headbutt line. He can headbutt me when I'm yanking down. So what I want is, from this position, my object is to get to his face, but there's an obstacle. So to get rid of it, I jut sao. What I do slowly is I jut a little bit, and now I have the opportune time to come in. If I yank down, if he's stronger than me, he might not even move. It'll just be stuck here. Or if he has good sensitivity, once again, he can headbutt. This is my line. So the jut sao is just a little jerk with the hands and the punch. Now you can go with this hand, or you can go with this hand, or you can double it up. The doubling up goes 1, 2, or it can be 1, 2. Jut sao is the jerking part. This is the important part of the technique. Now we look at this on the dummy. We're going to start from right here. This is your jut. Hands going down. Jut and you're hit with your right, jut and hit with your left, or double it up on this side. Slowly, jut and hit. You can shift and jut on this side. Notice the position of my body. I can change lead. Doesn't matter. This is what I was saying before. We don't have a particular stance. Everything is based off of feel. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a low reference point, and we're going to do the same thing. Normally when you get a reference point, once again, this is a block of some sort. You're trying to hit the face. There's an obstruction there. That's a reference. So if we're in a fighting stance, if I'm aiming for the stomach, that's my shot. But if I don't get it in, that's because I've got a block there. So this is getting between me and my target. So I get rid of it. If I'm going up high and this is my block here, this is between me and the target. So I get rid of it. If he blocks with this hand, now this is between me and my target. So I get rid of it. This is the purpose of trapping. You never look for a trap. It just happens to be there. Your primary objective is just to punch. When we're moving around, I'm just punching. I'm trying to come in and hit. As I come in to hit, if I get a block, that's when I come in again. So you have to punch first. Then if you happen to get blocked, then you trap. Now let's get back to the low reference point. We're at a low reference point right here because he blocks my low jab. So I'm going to shuffle in and I'm going to trap this. As I trap this, I'm going to come up with a back fist. Whereas before we had the high reference point and I came in with a straight punch. So we'll start from a low reference point. 3 things I want you to remember. Shuffle in, hold the trapping hand, and retract the punching hand. So let's look at it slowly. 1, 2, 3. Normal speed, just move in. Everything should be one sound. Okay, let's look at this on the dummy. And we use this as the block. This is the low reference point. So when I'm moving around, I just get that obstruction. Then I come in and I trap it. I'm moving around, 1, 2. I can do the same thing on the left. Okay, slow. I move around, I put out my jab. This is the block. I'm coming in, I trap, and I backhand. You're aiming for the jaw. It could be an eye jab, it could be a chop. The tool that you're hitting with is insignificant. The thing that is important is your timing, your sensitivity, and your trap is tight. What you hit him with, once you're in, they all work. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the traps that we have and we're going to combine them. What this means is that you not only get one barrier, but you get 2 barriers. We could call this mon sao or wu sao or front hand or rear hand, whichever you want to call it. So if I have a high reference point and if I come in and trap, he now blocks again. So I've got to come in twice with 2 traps. How he blocks and what energy he blocks is going to dictate my next trap. For example, if he holds center line, which is just a pat here, like a more professional boxer would do, if I'm in this position, this is the holding center line, I'm just going to come in again with the same trap twice. Some people overreact and they cross center line. If he crosses center line from here, this is where this elbow bends. When the elbow bends, this is my lop. We always aim for the chest to keep the traps in tight. Actual shot is on the face, of course. Okay, so we're here, pak to lop. Whereas before, pak to pak. Now he raises the front barrier when I pock here, so now I lop. Okay, so let's see again. I pock here, he raises, and now is my lop. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start with the jowl, just so I can show you some other combinations of what we've already worked. So we start with the jowl, and then we go to the jut. Now if I jowl high, I can jowl low. This is my low shot. If he brings his hand down low to block, I move it up to the ear again. If he brings his hand down low to block, then he brings the front hand buck back up again, I'm going to jut it. If he brings his hand down low and then brings his hand across, I'm going to come back with a backhand. Watch the combinations. We're going to go front to front to front. Now we're going to go low, he blocks here, but now I trap up again, that exposes this line, so I come back on this line again. So these are the different combinations we can use with the traps I've already given you. Now let's look at this on the dummy. If we start out here, I jowl and I jut. If I go low jowl, from a low jowl I come back up to here. So I'm going to play around with it. Let's see if you can recognize the techniques that I did with Mark. Let's look at them slow. I take it here, this is my first pock. From this pock, I have a jowl. If he blocks, you use your imagination thinking he blocked with his hand. I go jowl, I go jut. Now if I go low with a jowl, I'm going to come back up again. I come back on a back fist line. So this is just a tool. And this tool is as good as your imagination is. So this is one of the most important things I want you to remember about trapping. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start covering some different types of trapping. We're going to use traps from the Filipino martial arts. I want you to pay attention. This is getting a bit more technical now, and I want to show you the difference and the similarities. Okay, let's take that pak sao. Mark, give me a pak sao. Now, Mark gives me a pak sao. Go ahead. That's a pretty good pak sao. To the average person, that would be a good pak sao. However, to a Filipino martial artist, that wouldn't be too good. If he pak sao me from here, he's already dead. So the point being, when you have a weapon in your hand, the trap has to be better. There has to be more cohesion. There has to be more aggressiveness. There has to be more sensitivity. The trap cannot be this, but it has to be here. The pak sao has to be better. The trapping hands have to be better because you have an extension in the hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some basic traps from the Filipino martial arts, and I'm going to show you how to use them on the dummy. I know it's a Wing Chun dummy, however, using No Way As Way, we're going to call it a Filipino training aid. Okay? So we're going to be doing the Filipino martial arts and the trapping on the dummy. Now let's take one technique. Mark is going to give me a jab, and I'm going to be showing you the knife relationship with the jab. So as he jabs, I go straight to here. Look what I'm doing is I'm attacking the limb on the first motion. Mark jabs, I cut, jab, and raise. Now, let's take that same technique on the dummy. I have to use my imagination. This is the arm that's jabbing me. So I'll put this hand here. This is the shot. You don't want to use your knuckle. Open your hand up on this shot. This is the shot and the trap. So we're using the same technique on the dummy. Let's look at it one more time. Slap the arm. Jab the eye, backhand the face. Let's look at it on Mark. Slap the arm, jab the eye, trap the face. Here we go again. This is the shot. Now, from here, if he blocks with this hand, I have to go into another trap. Mark jabs, I get to this point. This is my pak sao. Let's take this off the jab now. Using the knife to illustrate how the Filipino martial arts apply their traps with or without the knife, we're going to then apply them to empty hands. Okay, he jabs. I slice the arm, jab the eye, and come in with the knife. Let's look at this slowly. 1, 2, 3. If I don't have a knife, we're going to use an arm pick. You make this part of your knuckle, extend the finger, and hit this. As you hit this, and you get this shot, these two come in. Now, he still has a hand that could possibly block. So if he does block with his hand, you've got your same two shots. He jabs. If I get to here, this is a toppy, or this is he lying. Now I can use these same two traps on the dummy. With an imagination, this becomes the jabbing hand. If this jabs, I gunting and I backhand. Now, this becomes the blocking hand. I raise to here, and I pak again, which is the atapi, or I lop, which is the hilang. So we're going to put the same combination on the dummy. Slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's look at it one more time. 1, 2, 3, and the trap, or 1, 2, 3, and the lop. We look at it one more time on Mark. He jabs, I get to here, I trap it, or if he crosses center line, I get to here and I lop it. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you how the elbows correlate in the trapping range. We're going to use the elbows in conjunction with the hands. So Mark is going to jab, and I'm going to take this first shot on the fist. This is my entry now. Once again, slowly. He jabs and I catch. This is my normal catch right here. He's aiming for the nose, and I parry it. If my hands are up, my elbow is straight ahead, I just take it right onto this hand. Smash the hand as an entry. As I smash the hand, I'm going to come right across the forearm again and come across the humerus one more time. So I'm going to come with 3 elbows while I'm trapping. Okay, Mark is going to jab, and I'm going to use this entry one more time. 1, 2, and then 3. Now, as I'm coming in, Mark has the possibility of stopping a punch with his rear hand. So when he jabs, when I get these two, if I trap to here, this is another block. I can trap again, I can elbow, and I can elbow again. So what we want to do is we want to get the ability to trap and elbow at the same time. You don't really see the difference. You're trapping, you're elbowing, and you're trapping. This is one of the big points of the Filipino martial arts. They trap the limbs to get to this range. Right here. The headbutt, the elbow, and the knee. This is the range they're trying to get to. They have to get past these limbs right to here before they can put this in. This is what they have to use. To get to there, they've got to trap up the hands. Now let's see how we do this on the dummy. Once again, we have to use the imagination. This is the arm jabbing. As it jabs, boom! You come straight up. Don't miss. Straight up with the elbow. This is the fist, simulating the fist. You can come across, you can trap again. As you get into here, you can simulate this as the head. You can pull in for the knee. This can be your knee and your elbows. So we blend them together. You have the trap with the elbow, with the knee, back to the elbow. You're playing. You're using the dummy as a tool to play with. You don't have any set regimen. You don't have any set amount of techniques. Just like with a heavy bag, you train with it. Now let me bring out a point comparing the Filipino martial arts to Wing Chun in relationship to the trapping. Wing Chun will occupy center line. The concept being they're in center line. If you meet up with them in center line, you're going to get a cohesion here. When you get this cohesion, you're going to trap it. This is what they want. Their blast is right down the center line. Provided they have the proper forward pressure and provided that the hand is in center line, this is a very good concept. Where the Filipino martial art has just the opposite of that. They'll give center line, forcing the opponent to now go straight. The opponent's not going to want to hook when you've got the hand out here. As you're giving center line, the opponent goes straight, you're going to now zone. Everything in the Filipino martial art is based on the triangle. This is a very important concept, is zoning to zero pressure. As you zone with the triangle, then you make your entry. The concept of Jeet Kune Do is using no way as way, blending arts. When you occupy center line and when you give center line and you put the two concepts together, you've got a totally different animal. And this is what I'd like you to experiment with. Now what I'd like to do is I'm going to bring out a few kicks that are very common in trapping range. Pananjakman is the art that we're going to be seeing here, and these kicks we use in conjunction with trapping. Now I'm not going to show them to you in conjunction with the trapping yet. I'm just going to show them to you as a single direct attack when you get the kick down, then we're going to do it with the traps. Okay, give me a left lead, Mark. Okay, this kick here is an oblique kick. All this is just a little low line flick to the knee. What this shot does is just give you a chance to get in. This is the whole concept. Just gives you one shot as a beat to get into trapping range. This kick can be done on the dummy with a lot of efficiency. What you do is when you're moving around with the dummy, you just use that leg. The minute you kick with this leg, boom, this is your entry. When you get into the entry stage, you can do any combination you want on the dummy. The combination you do is insignificant once you get in. Getting in is the tricky part. And this oblique kick will help you with that. Look at it slowly. You keep the hands up, kick, and come back. This is your shot. Look at it a few times. Now let's see it as an entry. Move around a little bit. Either side, either foot. You can double it up and use it as an entry. Let's play with that a little bit. Now let's take 2 more low line shots, then we're going to blend all these together. We're going to take a knee, and we're going to take the front hook kick. We call it a hook kick, but it can also be called a roundhouse kick. These are all done in trapping range. The art is Pananjakman. We're in a fighting stance. From this range here at trap, you have a knee. The knee can precede the trap, or it can follow the trap. It doesn't matter. But it's done in conjunction with the trap is when it's most effective. Now, along with the lines of the knee, you have your front shot. This kick looks jammed. It's not your traditional roundhouse kick. We are in trapping range. I can reach him with my elbow, but at the same time, I can kick the solar plexus. So this shot, as I lean right here, I raise my foot up and hit, or I hit, and then I trap. So as I'm trapping here, this is the shot. This is my entry. We can use this on the dummy. So we get to the dummy. I'm moving around in this range. All I do is I use this as an entry to get in. This can be my target here or here. This is my shot with the oblique and an entry. So we're moving around. We put the oblique in. We put your hook kick in. And then we get into whatever trap we want. So I'd like you to play around with the different feet and the knee and put them all together. So as we're moving, oblique, hook, pock, and knee. When you knee, you can knee on the leg, or you can move up to the torso of the dummy. Regardless of what technique you do, you should always have a good entry, hitting on the first beat, getting into trapping range, combining your high and your low. Okay, let's work that. Now, the final phase of this tape is going to deal with what I consider a more advanced segment. And when I say advanced, it has nothing to do with technique, but it has to do with the way technique is done. And when I say the way it's done, in this particular case, I'm talking about the timing and the rhythm that it's done. I'm going to illustrate the point with Sunawali, which is a double stick. Okay, now, what we're going to do is we're going to do a pattern which is going to show you one beat. And then I'm going to show you how to get a half beat out of that. Then we're going to correlate the weapons to the trapping. This is a beat, 1. This is a beat, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1.5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you notice very slow, it's 1.5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when you're doing a trap and as you insert something in between that trap and another trap, that is a half beat. Now, you can insert a high line in between 2 traps, or you can insert a low line. In this case, I'm going to show you how to insert the low line. This is called the Pananjakman, which could be the oblique kick, could be the knee, could be that front hook kick that we worked on. Okay, now, if Mark jabs, if I get the gunting to here, this is one beat. This is one beat here. Now, in between this beat and this beat is going to be a low line kick. So this is going to be the half beat. As soon as this comes in here, this goes in. So if you listen to the rhythm, you can hear the half beat. It'll sound like this. The half beat is the kick. Now, you can do it like this. You can go 1, and then you can go 2, and then you can go 3, but you're losing it. The half beat has to be in between this and this. That's your kick. The subtlety of this shot brings his attention on the low line. Whenever I go down on the low line, then I can come back up to the high line again. So I keep his attention on the low line with either a knee or with a quick shot to the groin. Then I go back up to the high line. So when you're continually going high, low, high, you're a much more effective trapper. Let's look at this very slow. 1, 2, 3. One more time. I'm going to put in a knee instead of the oblique kick now. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to put in the front hook kick. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do it on the dummy. Same thing. As I'm doing the gunting, I put in the low line oblique kick. I can put it in on the left, or I can put it in on the right. I can then combine it with traps. Then I can add it to the end of the sequence. So I go 1, 2, 3. So when you put it all together, you're putting the knees, the kicks, and the traps all together, and you feel when to insert them. Now, if you have sensitivity, when you're actually trapping with an opponent, that feel is the sensitivity. We work on this with chi sao. We're going to cover that later. For right now, I want you to just look at the tape, follow the sequence, and work it out on the dummy. Work on the dummy a little bit, and I want to see if you can pick up the things that we showed you in the tape. I'm just going to freelance it and flow. I'm going to go nice and slow, and then I'll build a little bit of speed. We're going to work out from long range, work my way in.